Welcome to Devlog 3, guys. Join me as I document the process of turning an old uni project into a full game. This week I've been working on the wildlife system. Wildlife is one of the player's resources that they'll need to manage, and the rate at which animals are spawned is based on the number of trees you have in the forest. All the models you see here are placeholders purchased from the Unity asset store and are subject to change, although the animations are pretty nifty, so I might just alter the 3D models slightly. There are 3 different types of wildlife that I've been working on, with a 4th to be implemented later down the line. You start with a humble rabbit, then when you have enough wildlife in the forest, the deer will begin to spawn, and then eventually the boar. Their health stats will increase with each consecutive animal. When they spawn in, they will peacefully explore the forest, foraging for food, until such a time as a hunter stumbles upon them, when they will try to run away and evade their arrows. The other wildlife type not mentioned is the bear. This one is different from the other wildlife in that it is capable of fighting back against the human enemies. They cannot be controlled by the player, but help to defend the forest as best they can. They will be spawned in last as the player reaches a critical mass of trees. I've set up several systems to simulate this wildlife growth. We have a wave system which breaks down into 2 phases, the aggro phase where enemies will be spawned in, and a peace phase where the player will get a small break. I'm still working on how long these phases will last, but currently the aggro stage is 1 minute and the peace stage is 4. This will come down to playtesting and balancing to see what seems right. Then we have the minimum spawn rate and the maximum spawn rate of the wildlife. This spawn rate is determined by the number of trees in the forest. As you place more trees, the forest becomes healthier, allowing it to sustain more life, but likewise, if you lose too many trees, so do you lose your spawn rate. They have 2 basic states, panicked and calm. If they wander too close to a hunter, they will run away to a safer location and begin their calm routine again. To test this, we'll need some hunters. To start with, we have the Waith. This is the lowest level of hunter enemy, but perfect to test out the AI. So the hunter scans the forest for all available wildlife, locates the nearest and hones in. Once close enough, they'll begin to launch projectiles at it. In this case, it's an ugly grey cube, but eventually this will become an arrow. If the creature is hit by an arrow, they will take some damage and enter the panic state and attempt to flee. In addition to the wildlife system, I've added a few more things to the game. I added some procedurally placed rocks to the scene to create a more dynamic play space. Without trees on the map, the environment can look a little bare, so this helps to break up the landscape. The problem with this is that I'm instantiating these rocks at runtime, so it means that Unity's inbuilt pathfinding solution isn't able to bake a nav mesh at runtime without some tinkering. This means that the enemies and the player units will walk right through them. This is a job for another day, but it's nice to know that it's possible. I also added rivers for a similar reason. I think rivers could become an interesting part of the game in that it can funnel enemies and player units through chokeholds, and it gives the scenery some more life. I also worked on the tree placement systems a little more. Based off a comment made by Jam, now the player can't place a tree if it's too far away from the other trees. So thanks for that, Jam. I was thinking of implementing a mechanic of this sort, but it's good to know that I'm not alone there. I also implemented a simple UI with the player resources on it. Now placing a tree costs 15 Magian, which limits how quickly you can expand. So the game is coming together slowly. I think I'll have a playable demo ready by the end of February or something like that. I'd love to have your feedback on how the game is feeling. If you want to play the original prototype to get a feel for what I'm going for, there's a link to my itch page with the download there, but beware, it's janky. I just want to say thanks to everyone who subscribed and left encouraging comments. It's great to see that others like the idea and think it has promise. So, on that note, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. There's plenty more royalty-free lo-fi beats and game development to come. Thank you very much.